What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to week 2 here of the 2023 College Summer Super Series, the sequel. My name's Joe Wagner. I'm with these two amazing men right here next to me again is Braden Wilkins and Brent the Mountain Best
Yeah,
Allegra.
yeah,
Is
had to
it is
change
it
up.
is this going to be like a thing for the whole series?
I think I might try to come up with a little something before each episode. Put it underneath my name. Last week, if you didn't tune in, Father of Sexy. A lot of people call me that here back home, so I thought it was pretty fitting. But
Okay.
today, I just wanted to recognize my favorite college football conference, the Mountain Best. The
The
Mountain Best.
Mountain Best. Braden, what do you think about Mountain Best making an appearance here?
I think it's great, and I think if this is going to be a thing, you got it pretty easy next week. It'll be pretty easy to come up with something for our next
Yes,
conference.
sir. Yes, sir.
We'll
Little
uh
teaser.
we'll we'll keep that one in pocket for right now. Other than that, I think we'll have the fans vote at the very last episode here. We'll take about 5 minutes when we get into that week 0 preview, plus maybe a little NFL preview in there too. Hush, hush, be quiet there. More to come. Other than that, Brent, I'm loving these names. The fan engagement will be great from it. We'll see those 11 names here in those next 11 weeks. I'm looking forward to see what you come up with.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Other than that, I don't see any reason for us to not jump right in, guys. We're in the Mountain West. Nothing changed here from 2022 in team base. There was a lot in the CUSA, but we're ready to rock and roll here. Brent, you're going to kick us off here with the Air Force Falcons. But, guys, I went a little bit into the record books last week. I was going through when we were doing this, and I was like, you know what? It's time to start holding ourselves accountable for the college football advice we're going in and giving. Now, I went through last year's 2022 Mountain West predictions for each team that we put up there to see how that actually fared off into the 2022 season. So we'll go team by team to keep some suspense going up. But Brent, you have the 2022 Air Force Falcons. Last season, I had the honor of predicting the Air Force Falcons record. Can you read me what that record was for what they did in 2022, Brent? How did they fare off?
So their 2022 actual record, it's on the screen here, 10-3. They went 5-3 in the conference. So pretty good stuff from Air Force.
Pretty good stuff from Air Force. If you go back to our S.O.S, I'm not sure the exact number on it, but it was with the MAC and Mountain West. I think it was our second podcast here for that. Joe Wagner predicted that the Air Force Falcons would go 10-3 in the Mountain West. So nail on the head there. We'll see, Brent. I'm kicking it over to you. Let's see if we can make it 2 years in a row here with that prediction.
Oh, we will. We will. I'm the future. I'm the future, bro. I'm going to predict it. All right. But anyways, we already mentioned it. We got the Air Force Falcons. I already see a comment. Ooh, Air Force. How can you not like the Air Force? USA. Last year, their bowl game, they beat Baylor 30-15 in the Armed Forces Bowl. The last time they won the division was 2021. They were division champions, but unfortunately lost that tiebreaker to Utah State. Their head coach is Troy Calhoun. He's 121-78 as head coach of Air Force. It's his 17th season, which is also the same amount of seasons coached as Nick Saban. So he's been coaching for a while. At quarterback, the quarterback situation for Air Force isn't too hot. The favorite to win the job is the senior Jensen Jones, which I think is a pretty badass name. I like that name myself. He's sat behind the dual threat Hazik Daniels his whole career. But obviously, Hazik Daniels has now left. He's not eligible anymore to compete in college football. But also in contention is Ben Britton, but he is likely penciled in as the backup. Regardless of which quarterback wins the job, though, having 4 returning starters up front and some experience at the skill spots will ease the transition for the new signal caller. But that was until I researched a little bit more today. And there was a recent article stating that Air Force's best player their left tackle, Everett Smalley, decided to step away from the team. So they don't have that sure thing at left tackle anymore. And the outlook is not looking too good for the Air Force quarterback and offensive line. Their best player to watch on offense. What is the one thing we know about this team? What's the one thing we know about Air Force in their offense?
They love to run the ball, and that's why that left tackle being hurt is awful for this program.
Yes. They like to run.
Away, excuse me.
They like to run the damn ball. Brad Roberts, the starting running back last year, recorded 345 carries for 1,728 yards and 17 touchdowns. That is a very impressive number. Lots of carries. They love to run the ball. His backup and the player to watch this year, my player to watch, is John Lee Eldridge. He's a senior running back. He recorded 766 yards and 4 touchdowns as a backup last year. The running attack was so good last year that Air Force averaged 326 yards per game, while their opponents only averaged 95. That's a huge difference in rushing totals. But my player to watch on defense is Trey Taylor. He's a junior safety, and he's the leader of this defense. He had 69 tackles, 2 picks, and a sack last year. My most important game for Air Force is Week 12 at Boise State. Their last game of the season. It will end up being their first loss of the season in my prediction, although I could definitely see them going undefeated because they have an absolute cakewalk of a schedule. My record prediction, 11-1.
Whew.
And I think they're a worse team than last year. But that's how easy they're
11-1 for
11-1.
Okay, hold on. Let me Brain, are you doing the same thing looking at the schedule?
Their schedule is easy.
Okay. Yes. That is pretty dog water. I could see maybe a loss in here to San Diego State, you never know.
I'm showing that Air Force is better, has a better outlook than San Diego State this year.
Poor Robert Morris having to start the season off with Air Force.
Yep.
I'm projecting 450 rushing yards there.
It's very possible.
Well, there you go. Air Force chance for the title. Who knows? Who knows there?
Yeah, gotta get that college football championship. Air Force against
Wait, what? He jumped right over the Mountain West and said,
"Yeah, yeah, Air Force against Bama. Let's go."
I love it. Let's go to a team that's known to basically run the Mountain West here with the 2022 Boise State Broncos. If you can't tell in the background, Boise State Broncos, it's the blue turf field. They camouflage into it. They have an unfair home field advantage every time they step on the field. They absolutely love to play Bronco football. It's in Albertson Stadium in Boise, Idaho, home to 36,387 fans. And as we said earlier, we're going through those record predictions from 2022 that we stated in our last of the College Summer Super Series. Chris predicted this team was going to go 9-3. So that was taken away from the fact of their bowl game and their conference championship game that they played last year against Fresno State. So he hit it right on the head at 9-3 because they lost that championship game, but they won their bowl game. So we're basically running 2 for 2 right now here with the Mountain West, but let's get into it. Here in the Mountain West, the Boise State Broncos went 10-4, 8-0 in that division. First in the Mountain. There's the Mountain Division. There's the West Division. It's the Mountain West Conference. It's not that difficult. Second-year coach coming in, is Andy Avalos. He's a former Broncos student athlete, assistant coach, and defensive coordinator. He was the team captain, all-conference linebacker for Boise State as well. He's been around Boise State as long as you can really talk about it, guys. Last year's bowl game result, they beat North Texas 35-32 in that Frisco Bowl. It was a highly anticipated game down in Frisco, Texas, in which basically the home team, North Texas, lost there by 3 points. Last time they won the conference, was 2019, where they defeated the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors 31-10 right before that COVID season. But again, lost last year's championship to Fresno State 16-28. Jumping over to quarterback, they're looking at redshirt sophomore Talon Green. Talon Green last season had 2,042 yards, 14 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. But man, this kid can run, guys. 586 yards on the ground, as well as 10 tutties in the back of the end zone. He is an absolute star stud for these Boise State Broncos, looking for that major leap in his sophomore season in year 2. The Boise State Broncos are tied with Appalachian State as the most winningest college program in the college football playoff era that has yet to make the college football playoff game. Let that sink in. They are tied with Appalachian State as the most winningest team in college football history since the college football playoff era. They have not had a losing season since 1997. This team is a rushing attack force, just like Air Force. And my player to watch here on offense, guys, that, in my opinion, this kid's getting drafted. It's senior running back George Halani. He had 221 carries, 1,157 yards, 10 TDs last year. Look for him to at least be a 5th-round pick in the NFL draft coming up. He's got speed. Love this kid. Him in the process of Talon Green punched in 20 TDs last season. I'm looking forward to what they can do in 2023. They average close to 200 rushing yards per game. Not exactly as much as Air Force, but they actually had a quarterback playing on the field. Finally, my player to watch on defense is DJ Schramm. He's a linebacker redshirt senior. He had 108 tackles. He broke that century mark last season. 54 of those were solo, so half of his tackles were by himself. He had half a sack and a forced fumble, something that can definitely be improved on in 2023. And I really think that the Boise State Broncos under Andy Avalos are going to continue to give everything they got here. My most important game is going to be week 4 at San Diego State. I think this is a huge chance for Boise State to start ramping up at the beginning of the season here in the Mountain West. And I think if they can get through this game, they just need to start an absolute rampage and just not look back. They just need to continue to play, go back home to week 5, get home to their families at night. My final prediction is the Boise State Broncos are going to go 10-3. And up until I saw Brent's prediction of 11-1, I had them playing for this division title game. But we'll see what happens. Last thing I want to talk about at that linebacker spot for DJ Schramm is how big of a leap he had from year 1 to year 2. In 2021, Schramm went from having 24 tackles and 13 solos to that 108 to 54. He times 5'd his tackles and times 4'd his solo tackles. I just think that's impressive from that second year, from that junior year to that senior year, and I thought that was worth noting.
Hey, Joe.
Yeah.
Did you know they have a blue field?
I did not. I did not. I probably should have done some more research on Boise State. But I say every year, I got to get there at some point. I just have to go. I could lay in the end zone with my hair up. Nobody could see me. It's orange.
Yeah.
Something to think about. Well, there you go. Something to think about. By the way, if you guys didn't know, this is the first time we actually drafted our teams. So not sure why Braden picked this next one, but maybe he just likes to run with the underdogs. Braden, right before you jump in here with Colorado State, you had this team last year too.
Nice.
Braden, you predicted Colorado State to go 5-7 last year. It went 3-9, not too far off here. Tell me about the Rams.
We talked about how Air Force and Boise State were great rushing teams. This team, not so much. They only scored 4 rushing touchdowns all season. So this team does not rely on the ground game at all. These are our Rams. They went 3-9 last season, 3-5 in the conference. They obviously did not make a bowl game. They haven't won the Mountain West Division or the Mountain Division anytime within the past decade. Last won the Mountain West Conference in 2002 under Sonny Lubbock, who won 6 conference championships in his coaching tenure. 2 of them with the Mountain West, 4 of them were in the WAC. This team didn't run the ball a lot, and their offense was obviously pretty bad in general. They were outscored 158 to 323. They averaged 13 points per game. Yes, very, very tragic in terms of offensive performance. Their quarterback is going to be Clay Millen. He's a sophomore. Last season as a freshman, he threw for 1,910 yards, 10 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions on 72.2% completion. So he did pretty good for a rookie being thrown into a bad situation. A freshman being thrown into a bad situation. My player to watch on the offense is Torrey Horton. He's a senior wide receiver. Last year, he had 1,131 yards, which was 60% of the team's total air yards and 8 touchdowns. Like I said before, 60% of your team's air yards is pretty crazy for any player. But hopefully he can take another step up. I don't know how that's possible, but he's going to need some help. He can't do it himself. My player to watch on the defense is Jack Howell. He's a junior safety. He's a hard hitter, and he led the team with 108 tackles last year. He also came up with 3 picks, 3 passes deflections, and 1 forced fumble. They also added a lot of help in the secondary through the transfer portal. My most important game for them is Week 7 against that blue-fielded Boise State. It's a chance to take on one of the top dogs in this conference. In order for them to take a huge leap this year, they need to come out in this game and at least be competitive. I don't think they're going to win the game. They got to show some promise and show some competition. I actually do have them taking a step up and going 6-6.
They're going bowling.
Exactly.
Let's go.
Two things there. Player to watch on defense. That's misspelled, right? That's Jack Powell, not Jack Howell.
Oh, right.
Okay. And number 2, shout out to our favorite Duke dog, Savannah Bates. She's watching the podcast today. Nice. So just a quick shout out over there at JMU. But yeah, Colorado State Rams. Even if they don't go 6-6 and go bowling, I mean, Colorado fans got something to look forward to for the Buffaloes. Mm-hmm. We'll get to that. I guess we're gonna move over to Fresno State here. Brent, looks like you got Fresno State again. And Brent, I have to give you some credit here. Brent predicted that the Fresno State Bulldogs last season said, and I quote, "The Fresno State Bulldogs are going to go 10-2 and win the Mountain West in 2022. I'm going to let Brent go ahead and take this on and say why he was correct.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at this conference as a whole, there's not a lot of competitive teams. It's Boise State and Fresno State. And the rest, I mean, I talked about Air Force. Again, I don't think they're that competitive of a team. It's more about the conference being kind of trash as a whole. So when you have that, for lack of a better word, shitty of a conference, it's easy to pile up a lot of wins. So I think my prediction was fairly accurate, as you can tell. And let's get into this thing. Last year's bowl game result, they defeated Washington State 29-6 in the Jimmy Kimmel LA Bowl. As Joe mentioned, last year, 2022, they beat Boise State 28-16 to get that conference championship. Their head coach is Jeff Tedford. He's 36-18 with the team, and it's his 5th season. And then to get to the quarterback spot, it's obvious that Fresno State had a phenomenal year led by the high-flying Jake Haener. To replace him, the Bulldogs recruited Mikey Keene. He's a sophomore transfer. He played 4 games at UCF in 2022, utilizing a redshirt season. He completed 60 of 83 pass attempts for 647 yards this past season, and completed his passes at a 72.29% clip, throwing 6 touchdowns to just 1 interception. And then to get to my player to watch on offense, It's Magdalena. He's a junior wide receiver, and he's my player to watch on offense because Jalen Moreno-Cooper and Nico Remigio left for the NFL this offseason. Those were the top 2 wide receivers. Those were the top weapons on the team. And Magdalena profiles as the number 1 wide receiver on this offense after an unproven 10 catches for 92 yards and a touchdown last season. And then for my player to watch on defense, it's the best player on the team. It's Cameron Lockridge. He's a junior corner. He played 2 years at Hawaii before transferring to Fresno State last year. He was Mountain West's best corner last year and possesses good size at 6 foot, 180 pounds. He had 38 tackles, 1 sack, and 5 interceptions in 2022. And the best part, he is the grandson of Ken Griffey and the nephew of Ken Griffey Jr. So I might need to acquire some of that family DNA.
Jeez.
I might need to acquire some. I mean, that's phenomenal. Their most important game, I'm noticing a little bit of a theme here with Boise State. Week 9 versus Boise State. It's the only matchup that is even remotely close for Fresno State. Again, the schedule is a cakewalk because most of these teams' schedules are cakewalks. It's just a matter of, are you decent or are you complete garbage? So my record prediction, undefeated, 12-0. 12-0.
Okay.
Notice just the period at the end there, 12-0 dot.
12-0.
Nothing else.
I think they beat Boise State in the rematch of the conference championship, and I think they go 12-0. I think their roster is still really stacked even without Jay Kaner.
Whew.
Wow.
That's a take right there.
12-0. 12-0.
That's a take right there.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
I'll take it.
But yeah, Brent, we definitely were seeing a pattern there. We've now officially gone through 4 teams. We're now a third of the way through this Mountain West Conference. Boise State was one of the teams that we went through. Every other team that has gone through so far, game to watch, is against the Boise State Broncos. I just want to throw that out there.
It's the blue field. It's the blue field. You want to watch that game.
I can't disagree with that. I just can't. I mean, it's our background.
Yeah.
Let's go from first to worst. Here with the 2022 Nevada Wolfpack. We've been on a bit of a hot streak here with our predictions from last season. This one was way out of left field. In 2022, Chris predicted that the Nevada Wolfpack were going to go 8-4.
Ooh.
So this one was a bit of a hit and miss on that one, but that's the only one. That's the only one we've pretty missed on so far. Not too shabby, guys. If you're betting over unders here, hopefully you didn't parlay us last year, but if you threw us on, you're definitely making money right now. I'm not giving any betting advice, by the way. I need to put that out there for legal reasons. Anyways, 2022 Nevada Wolfpack went 2-10, did not win a single game in the Mountain West last year. They play out in McKay Stadium in Reno, Nevada, home to exactly approximately 30,000 fans. Going here to last season for the Nevada Wolfpack. Last year, did they make a bowl game? No, not even close. When's the last time they won the division? Well, they've never won the conference. So let's check the last time they won the West Division in the Mountain. Oh, wait, they haven't done that either. They have never appeared in the Mountain West title game nor the division top. It's been a rough ride for the Wolfpack. They've been staying together so far. They're going with hometown favorite for his second season here in head coach Ken Wilson. Obviously, he went 2-10 last year. Second year is where changes really need to be made. We're seeing a lot of second-year head coaches actually so far this year and throughout the Power 5 as well, guys, that we'll get into. Ken Wilson is a former 19-season assistant coach at Nevada before taking the head coaching job last season. During those 19 seasons, He made 14 out of 17 bowl game appearances from 2005 to 2021. So it wasn't always dark days there for the Nevada Wolfpack. The positives, they have a transfer redshirt sophomore coming in from Colorado. It's Brandon Lewis, who went 15 for 24, 92 yards, 0 TDs, 0 picks. And I know that doesn't look like a lot. He's coming off Colorado. He was told he's not going to be the starting quarterback with Deion Sanders, so he jumped ship and decided to come join with the Nevada Wolfpack to try and turn this franchise around. A little note here, guys, as well. Shane Illingworth is going into his second year here as well with the Nevada Wolfpack. He could see reps at quarterback. This is a QB battle to watch. Put your mind on it. It does look like it's going to be Brendan Lewis's job from the first day, but it's something definitely to keep your eye open to with the Nevada Wolfpack, especially with how desperate they've been looking in the past 2 years. My player to watch on offense is Dale Von Campbell. This dude's actually a beast, and if he was on any other team, he'd be a 6th or 7th round draft pick in the NFL. He had 38 catches, 459 yards, and a TD last season. He's got height, he's got agility, and he can cut into the field like a Michael Thomas slant. He's got great footwork. Looking forward to watching him actually play with a decent quarterback this year if Brendan Lewis can step up here for the Wolfpack. My most important game for them, it's kind of difficult when you go 2-10. I picked week 3 versus Kansas, and here's why. So Nevada's going to run into this game hopefully at 1-1. They're starting the season at USC against former Heisman Trophy winner Caleb Williams. So they're going to lose by 50, and then they go at home against Idaho. They should be able to win that game, in my opinion. Idaho's not a fantastic team in the NCAA for football. So this is a chance, honestly, against Kansas in week 3 to make that presence on a team that's coming off a really hot 2022 season in the Kansas Jayhawks that had everybody livid and excited on Twitter for them the entire season for the Jayhawks that started 5-0. That's my opinion for them after their season bowl game appearance for the Jayhawks. And 3 words, guys, make a statement. All right, like you're in your second year here with that head coach. You need to make a statement. Take advantage of Kansas's first game of 2023 on the road. Get it done. And guys, I just noticed I skipped over my player watch for the defense. Redshirt sophomore linebacker Drew Watts is my guy to be watching. He had 55 tackles, 38 of those were solo, 3 sacks and a pick as only a freshman. That's an impressive season. Let's see how year 2 is a leap for him. My final prediction, Nevada's going to get a couple games back, but they have a lot to get through. They're going to miss a bowl game here. And I think Ken Wilson is the hometown favorite. And if he can get them up to 5-7, I think the Wolfpack will have no problem giving him a 3rd year.
Good. I like the game to watch. Kansas was a really, really fun team to watch last year. So I hope they're just as exciting this upcoming year.
I agree. Braden, what were you doing picking teams?
Well, this is my last team, New Mexico. This is my last team. Didn't have much.
Anyways, Braden has the New Mexico Lobos. Braden, you had them last year too. You were just a little bit off on this record. They went 2-10. You said they were going to go 3-9. So
okay.
I had them scared for a little bit.
Shoot. Well, that's disappointing.
Tell me about the Lobos.
Yeah, they're just as bad, if not worse, than Nevada. 2-10, 0-8 in the conference, exactly the same. But they actually have won the Mountain Division. They were co-champions of it in 2016, along with Wyoming, and that was the year Josh Allen was in town. So that's pretty impressive. They did win the WAC back in 1964 and 1963. So I don't know, maybe they can get back to that prime 63-64 squad. Their head coach is Danny Gonzalez. He's a former defensive coordinator hired out of Arizona State, and he's going into his 4th season with head coaching record of 7-24. So not too great. Apparently they were the 2nd worst offense in all of FBS last year, even worse than Colorado State. So their quarterback Dylan Hopkins is a senior. Last year he threw for 4,000
Whew.
4,176 yards, 28 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, and 2 touchdowns at UAB. So he's a transfer. They also have a freshman, Devin Dampier. He's a dual threat incoming freshman that throws well in the run. So I think Hopkins is likely going to get the starting nod, but Dampier could see some action if Hopkins doesn't work out too well.
That's a heck of a season.
It was 2 seasons. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Holy snap.
Yeah, UAB.
I was about to say, why did this guy leave?
Right. My player to watch on the offense is Christian Washington. He's a sophomore running back. Last year, he had 310 rushing yards on 4.2 yards per carry as a freshman. He did not find the end zone, unfortunately, but he was second in team yards from scrimmage. And the top guy, Nate Jones, is not currently on the 2023 roster. He is eligible to return, but he's not on the roster at the moment. And then I actually have 2 defensive players to watch. This defense is not very good, but they brought in Marvin Covington and DeArco Perkins McAllister. They are a pair of DBs, a sophomore and a junior respectively. They transferred in from TCU. They didn't see a lot of playing time, but maybe they learned from that TCU winning culture last year, and hopefully they can make an impact on a much worse New Mexico squad. My game to watch for them is Week 3 versus New Mexico. If you can beat your in-state rivals for a huge statement win, that would be great. Your team goals are to rank higher than 130 out of 131 this year in terms of FBS. I predict them going 3-9, like I did last year. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, Braden. I like the fact about the TCU transfers. You're coming from a national championship runner-up.
Mm-hmm.
You're seeing a lot of different things and a lot of different looks. I guarantee those guys were grinding in the training room and in the film room, so they've seen everything. They've seen the best of the best. That's huge for New Mexico, a team that's trying to jump off the ground. That's a huge find, Braden, and that's definitely something I'd be looking at.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the 2 boys from TCU getting 5 picks each this year or something like that.
Maybe. We'll see.
Change the tide. Change the tide.
We'll see.
Let's go to my absolute favorite. I love talking about this team every year because they're just so fun. They're just so fun. Brent, tell me about the 2022 Hawaii Rainbow Warriors, but real quick, I had the Rainbow Warriors last season. I said that Hawaii was going to go 6-8. They fell off, guys. They didn't get it done. Let's hit it, Brent. Let's see it.
Yeah, we got the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors, one of the best mascots in college football. If not the best, one of the most unique. And it is Pride Month. So Rainbow, let's go. Last year's record, 3-10. They went 2-6 in the conference. They did not make a bowl game, obviously, with that poor of a record. But the last time they won the division was in 2019. They did lose the Mountain West Conference Championship to Boise State. Again, we're hearing that name again. Their head coach, Timmy Chang, 3-10 last year, and it's his second season. So we'll see if he can improve. He's a former player, so maybe he can do a little bit better in his second season. Their quarterback is Braden Shager. He's a sophomore. Last year in his freshman season, he went for 2,348 yards, 13 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions. The player to watch on offense is Tylon Hines. He's a sophomore running back, and he had 634 yards and 2 touchdowns in his freshman year last season. And then the player to watch on defense is Peter Manuma. He's a sophomore linebacker. Again, we're seeing a lot of sophomores here. This is a young team.
That is some depth and some youngness. I like it.
Yeah. But Peter Manuma was the best player on the entire Hawaii squad last year. In his freshman year, 70 tackles, 1 sack, 2 forced fumbles, and 2 picks last year. So that's really, really good stats for a linebacker. Their most important game is Week 6 at UNLV. It's their first conference game and a chance to turn the tide against a winnable opponent after a disappointing season last year. That being said, I'm not projecting much of an improvement. In fact, just one more win than last season. I'm projecting 4-9. 4-9 for the Rainbow Warriors. And you guys know I like to sprinkle in an interesting fact about the teams I do.
Oh,
I found a good one on Hawaii. I found a good one. I did some digging, and I found that when Hawaii's football program started in 1909, their first game was against a local high school. Their first football game, Hawaii University, against a high school.
Please tell me they lost.
The score of that game, 95-5.
Wait, there was a safety?
Yeah, safety and a field goal. 95-5.
Well, did they win?
They won, yeah.
Oh, come on. I was
And
hoping the high school kids beat up on them.
In case you guys were wondering, that was against Punahou School. Punahou School.
Those kids must have never recovered from that game.
Well, I was thinking about it, and I was like, why would they play a high school team? And then I thought about it for a little bit, and I was like, this is Hawaii in 1909.
That's fair.
How much traveling are you going to do in the early 1900s? So
I want to know how you found that.
I just did some digging.
That's a factoid. That's money right there. That's what we like to see. That's what we like to see. Let's go on to another interesting college team here with the San Jose Spartans. I have the pleasure of talking about this wonderful team again this year. San Jose State Spartans, last year they went 7-5, 5-3 in the conference. I had predicted this team to go 6-7, so not too far off the mark there at that 7-5. But let's go ahead and jump right into it, guys. The San Jose State Spartans, they play out of CEFCU Stadium in San Jose, California, hence San Jose, home to 30,456 fans. Last season, they went 7-5, pretty decent improvement. They did lose in their bowl game 27-41 to Eastern Michigan in the famous Idaho Potato Bowl. Love the Idaho Potato Bowl. It's one of my favorites to watch. Last time they won the Mountain West Conference, was actually in 2020 in that COVID year. They defeated, let's just say it again, Boise State, 34-20. Just hence the background why they're there. Boise State is all over this division. Going into his 7th season as head coach Brent Brennan. Brent Brennan played college football at UCAA, actually. He was a wide receiver, if I'm not wrong. He was actually a letter winner over there. Brent Brennan, in his first 2 seasons, went 3-22 with the team, was given a 3rd season, and ended up turning it around from 3-22 to 27-42. So he's actually had a winning record since then, 24-20 since his first 2 seasons going into year 7. Entering his 6th season at quarterback, redshirt senior, is Javon Cordero. He's, again, in his 6th year. He played 4 years with Hawaii. He's in his 2nd year with San Jose State. This will be his last. But last year, he had an absolutely phenomenal year and was a big success for the San Jose Spartans. He had 3,250 yards passing, 23 TDs, 6 picks. That 23-6 ratio is really good in college football. He also this guy can scramble and run 265 yards and punch the ball in the back of the end zone with his legs 9 times last season. Cordero is huge for the San Jose State team. Look for him to be great, but he's not even the best presence on this team. This team is basically an all-in let's go right now. San Jose State Spartans, they have a graduate running back in Kari Robinson, who had 157 carries, 752 yards, and 10 touchdowns on the ground last season here for the San Jose Spartans. Guys, I looked up an interesting factoid about this guy as well, Brent. He's going into his 5th season. He has not once put the ball on the ground. He has not fumbled once in his entire career, and he's been a 3-year starter, 4-year player. So look for him to be great in year 5 again. And between him and Corderio in year 2 in the offense together, that's something I'm going to be looking at for the season. Absolutely. Shooting over here on defense, we have defensive player to watch, Trey Jenkins. Guys, get this. He's a graduate student too. He's an all-star safety, 60 tackles, 43 of those were solo. 60 tackles is a lot for his safety as well. He had 2 sacks, 1 fumble recovery, 2 picks, and 5 pass deflections. Look for him as well to be all conference in the Mountain West, as well as Kari Robinson, guys. Finally, the problem on this team is their O-line. They need to protect their quarterback who got sacked 42 times last season. Now, let alone he scrambles a decent amount. But usually when he's scrambling, he's getting out of that sack radius and he's taking off. So when he can use his legs, he's great with it, but he can't be sacked 42 times. This defense needs work, but what they were really good was heavy hitting and getting those fumbles. They had 21 forced fumbles last season, but only recovered 6 of those. So they got to get a couple guys to jump on the ball more often for San Jose State. My game to watch, no, it's not Boise State. My game to watch is week 8 at Hawaii. You want to know why? Revenge game, baby. Nothing like a revenge game here for quarterback Chavon Corderio. Looking forward to that one. Going to be interesting. Final revenge game for him, and crucial before they have to go play Fresno State, who Brent says is going to be undefeated, and San Diego State, 2 huge opponents there. San Jose's got a difficult schedule, in my personal opinion. I see them making a bowl game, going 6-7, and losing that bowl game. Back-to-back bowl game losses. But this team's sneaky. This is one of those teams that can flip on either side of the fence that Brent was saying, oh, this team in the Mountain West is absolute garb, or, oh, this team is absolutely amazing. Look for this team to maybe flip a light switch like Charlie Puth and just be watching out for this team. Because if that QB and RB one could get on the same scale, we might be looking at Cam Newton and Christian McCaffrey. That's all I'm going to say.
It sounds like they have a lot of seasoned veterans on this team.
Which is why it's going to be a one and done here. They need to get it done. That's all I got to say. Braden, looks like we have a decent team coming up. Why don't you tell me about them as I pull this up for what San Diego State was projected last year. Brent, you had this team not too far off. You said they were going to go 9-3. I had a little disappointment there for you. Braden, let's hit it.
Yeah, these Aztecs, they didn't go 9-3, but they had a pretty decent season, going 7-6, 5-3 in that conference. They ended up playing Middle Tennessee in the Hawaii Bowl, in which they lost 25-23. So a very close bowl game there. They weren't able to pull it out. The last time they won the West Division was back in 2021, so not too long ago. They were beaten by Utah State 13-46 in the conference championship game. So they did win the division, but they were not close to winning the conference. The last year they won the Mountain West was back in 2015 and 2016 under head coach Rocky Long. They're coached right now by Brady Hoke. It's his 4th season. He's gone 36-24 with the Aztecs. It's his 16th year overall, in which he's gone 101-84. Their quarterback is Jalen Maiden. He's a senior. Last year, he threw for 2,030 yards, 12 touchdowns, and 10 picks, with 231 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns. Now, Jalen Maiden didn't play the whole season. He took over for a struggling Braxton Burmeister after the team started 2-3. Joe, we know Braxton Burmeister. Brent, we know him very well. What if I told you guys that Braxton is on an NFL roster right now?
Is he on the Lions?
He's on the Rams. He is their. He's not even on their quarterback depth chart. He is listed under their wide receiver 11 in their depth chart.
Number 11.
I'm not surprised by that, considering Ryan Willis was on an NFL roster for however long. I don't think he still is, but just the fact that he made it to the NFL is beyond me with how bad he was.
I'm shocked.
Guys, don't worry. Braxton Burmeister confirmed better than Hendon Hooker, according to Justin Fuente. I'm gonna cover this. I'm ashamed.
My player to watch on the offense is Raphael Williams. He's a junior wide receiver. He transferred from Western Carolina University, in which last season he had 959 yards and 9 touchdowns. The top 2 receivers for the Aztecs last year are gone. So this is going to give the FCS stud a chance to shine and step in and produce for this team. My defensive player to watch is Cody Moon. I was actually really sad when I was looking at Mexico's stats and I couldn't talk about this guy. So I was very pleasantly surprised to see that he transferred from one team to another here to San Diego State, because this guy's a beast. He was easily the best part of the Lobos defense last year. He put up 105 tackles, 9.5 tackles for loss, 4.5 sacks, 4 pass deflections, and 1 forced fumble from the linebacker position. So this guy is a beast. He shined on a really bad team, so maybe he can jump into this not so bad team and shine for them as well. My game to watch, it's not Boise State. It's week 14 versus Fresno State, the conference champions. So San Diego State is 1-4 in their last 5 matchups against Fresno State. And they would love to beat them here in the last week of the season and show those conference champions that they mean business here. But Brent obviously doesn't think it'll happen. I don't either, by the way. I have the Aztecs going 8-4, taking up a small step up. Yes,
not not quite the basketball team. Brent, you have one heck of a team to wrap your teams up with here. I think you might have had them last year. Hold on. No, you did not. So Chris had this team last year for UNLV, and his record prediction, and I quote, trash. There was not a record. It was trash.
I mean,
Brent.
Looking at some of the other records in this conference, I don't know. Decent. 5-7, not too bad. But anyway, let's get into this. It's the UNLV Rebels. Last year's bowl game, obviously didn't have one. 5-7, that's not enough to make a bowl game. Last time they won the conference, 1994, when it was the Big West. Their record that season, 7-5. 7-5 won the conference. Respectable. Head coach, first season with UNLV after going 500 from Missouri, or with Missouri from 2016 to 2019, Barry Odom. The quarterback, Doug Brumfield. He's a junior. Last season with the team, he had 1,898 yards, 10 touchdowns, and 5 picks. He added 261 yards and 6 touchdowns with his legs. He is also a lefty. Gotta throw out some lefty love there. Lefty love.
Good old Southpaw. Good old Southpaw.
Yeah, absolutely. The player to watch on offense, Ricky White. He's a junior wide receiver. He had 51 catches, 619 yards, and 4 touchdowns last year. And the player to watch on defense, Jerry Williams. It's Jerrae. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Maybe Jerrae. But he had 54 tackles, 2 picks, 1 sack, and a fumble recovery last year. Their most important game, week 4 at UTEP. These teams stack up very similarly, in my opinion, and I could see this game going either way. But despite all that, I have their record going 5-7, just like last year. No step up, no step down, exactly where they were last year. And guys,
what a season.
What a season. But again, guys, I like to throw in a fun stat. I like to throw in a fun little fact. So if you guys aren't familiar with the rivalry between UNLV and Nevada, they play every year for a trophy called the Fremont Cannon. It is the heaviest and most expensive trophy in college sports, weighing 545 pounds, and it cost $10,000 to build 53 years ago.
What is this called?
It is the Fremont Cannon Trophy.
Hold on.
Vegas, baby. That's crazy.
What
wonder-
the heck? It's a
$10,000 to build.
cannon.
$10,000 to build, and that was 53 years ago. So today, just doing the quick math in my head, maybe like 300,000.
Whoa.
Just the best guess. Just the best
What?
guess.
That's crazy.
That's tough.
It's a sick trophy.
Dude, I love this.
All the listeners, if you're listening, look it up. It's a nice trophy.
I mean, Nevada and UNLV. Okay, I'm not going to throw this graphic up just because it might be copyrighted, but you guys need to look up Fremont Cannon Trophy, and it'll be like the third thing that shows up. It has a blurb of Nevada on this side and UNLV on this side. That thing is dope. And it's like different colors on the cannon. That's a good find. That is a good factoid.
Thank you.
Wow. Braden, we need to step it up here. We're lazy.
Yeah, we do.
All right. Anyways, I'll shoot over to my final team here. I got the Utah State Aggies, who really disappointed last season, going 6-7. Last year, Braden, you had this team predicting they were going to go 8-4. So again, not too far off the mark, but they really did have a disappointing year. Utah State Aggies went 6-7, 5-3 in conference play. So they did their work in the conference well. They play out of Maverick Stadium in Logan, Utah, home to 25,100 fans. Last season, they lost 10-38. They got smacked against Memphis in the First Responder Bowl. Last time they won the division, the conference was 2021. They actually defeated San Diego State and obliterated them 46-13. So that was an absolute shellacking. It's one of my favorite words. Coming into the third season, head coach Blake Anderson, who's gone 17-10 in his first 2 years with the team. He's actually in his 10th season overall as a head coach. He went 68-47 currently going into his 11th season overall. So the 2022 Utah State Aggies struggled in 2022. They started 1-4. This included a loss at home to the famous UNLV Rebels, a loss to Weber State. You guys might remember this game. They lost 7-35. They got spanked to Weber State. What a way to open the year. Their defense gave up close to 400 yards per game.
Ooh.
That is 11th in the Mountain West. Number 12, I'd have to assume, was Nevada. Anyways, Utah State here. They have a quarterback, redshirt senior, Cooper Legis. He did not have a fantastic year last year, thrown just under 1,500 yards, 11 tutties to 10 INTs, 303 yards, and 2 touchdowns on the ground as well. Guys, my 2 people to watch, and I think they're just bringing in some new raw talent here. Terrell Vaughn, he's actually in his second year here with Utah State. He is a senior wide receiver who is a JUCO transfer, actually, who last season had 56 receptions, 624 yards, 5 touchdowns, and a touchdown on the ground. Again, a JUCO transfer, had a great first season coming over to the Aggies. Coming in my player to watch at defense, guys, get this. A junior JUCO transfer, defensive end Sion Sloan, who had, look at these stats, 84 tackles, 12 sacks, 22 tackles for loss, and a forced fumble. I have one word for that, and it's damn. That is a crazy stat line. Let's see how it comes over to the NCAA here in Division I football, but that's something that's eye-opening to me. My most important game, guys, I hate to be that guy, Week 11 versus Boise State. In order to win the division, not the conference, the division over in the Mountain, this is a must-win game for them in Week 11 before they hit Week 12. You got to beat the best in the biz. My record prediction for them, they're going to flip their record. Instead of 6-7, they're going to go 7-6. But I'm really interested to watch this JUCO Tambo take off, tandem. Excuse me. I'm excited, especially Sion Sloan, because that dude's a beast, an absolute beast. All right, we get to go to the final team here in the Mountain West, who is really just known for one player. I'll let Braden introduce that. But Wyoming, Brent, you had them last year. You had no faith in them. You said they were going to go 4-8. They went 7-6. Braden, take us home.
Yeah, they did indeed go 7-6, 5-3 in the conference. These Cowboys made a bowl game. They lost 27-30 in overtime against Ohio in the Arizona Bowl. Bowl game going to overtime, you got to love it. The Cowboys couldn't pull it off. The last time they won the Mountain Division was back in 2016. They lost against San Diego State in the conference championship 24-27. And that 2016 team was coached by none other than, or was not coached, but it was quarterback by none other than Josh Allen, the guy that we all know that went to Wyoming. Their head coach, Craig Bowl, it's his 10th year at Wyoming. He's gone just under 500, 52-56. It's his 21st year overall. He spent the other 11 or so years at North Dakota State as a legendary coach for them. So you see 52-56, subtract that from his overall. He went over 500, obviously. He did great at North Dakota State. Their quarterback is Andrew Peasley. He's a graduate. Last year, he threw for 1,574 yards, 10 touchdowns, and 9 picks, with 339 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. Nothing too inspiring, but not bad either. My offensive player to watch is Frank Crum. He's a graduate left tackle. This team likes to run the ball. They were the 30th ranked offensive line in college football and 3rd in the Mountain West. Crum is moving to left tackle after starting the past 4 seasons at right tackle. Wyoming has focused heavily on the ground game in the past. They've cultivated 3 1,000-yard receivers in the past 4 seasons.
He's protecting that blind side.
Yeah, absolutely. You know it. My defensive player to watch is Wyatt Eckler. He's a junior strong safety. He was the 3rd leading tackler with 67 tackles, 1 interception, and 7 pass deflections. Wyatt Eckler, believe it or not, is related to Austin Eckler. He's his younger brother.
I actually knew that.
I knew that too.
Wyatt played running back in college just like his brother. He averaged 154 yards per game in his final season, and he's been doing quite well in his transition to safety. Got to say it one more time. My game to watch is Week 9 at Boise State, coming off their bye week.
Make that 5.
Yep.
That's half the conference, basically.
It would be a good chance to show that they can actually compete in this conference. Wyoming has been consistently good, but not good enough to compete for the conference title since 2016. Is this their year? Who knows? I think probably not. I have them going in 7-5 yet again.
Very nice. The Wyoming Cowboys.
Mm-hmm. No respect to Fresno State. No respect to Fresno.
No respect to Did anybody even have that as the game to watch? I think there was one.
I did.
Yeah, San Diego State. That's right. So, guys, we're hitting the hour mark here. We're about to wrap up. But I figured since we were doing things about accountability and stuff like that from the 22 season, I figured let's see how our 23 predictions wrapped out. And I got something special for you guys. Let's pull this up. I made this little – it's not too fancy. It was just thrown together here. Pulling it up now. This is what your Mountain West would look like. So here in that Mountain Division is how this would wrap up according to those predictions we gave today. The Air Force Falcons, although here's this little tidbit. Just because the Air Force Falcons go 11-1 does not mean they would win the division.
Yeah.
Remember, it's about that conference record. So that's something just to keep a ploy as, but this is overall.
I don't think they would win the division because I have that loss being against Boise State.
Correct. But just going for kicks and giggles based off of what we gave with the record, I put them in order with how this would kind of hash out. So Air Force winning the division at 11-1, Boise State over there at 10-3, Wyoming coming up in 3rd, Utah in 4th, Colorado State in 5th, and then New Mexico, they're going at 6 again. Now we come down to the West Division here. And you have the Fresno State Bulldogs at that just rocking 12-0. San Diego State Aztecs at 8-4. San Jose State Spartans at 6-7. UNLV Rebels 5-7. Nevada Wolfpack 5-7. And the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors at 4-9. So that's the projections we went through. If this went through, assuming that the conference records were adjacent to this, the championship game that is played at Thomas and Mack Center in Las Vegas, Nevada, would be Air Force Falcons versus the Fresno State Bulldogs in a one-loss 23-1 combined game. Saying this is the championship, guys, who's taking it?
Fresno State easily.
Fresno State's repeating.
Yeah. Fresno State's repeating. All right, now let's sub it out. What if Boise State was here?
That'd be more interesting.
It would be a better game, yes.
Anyways, I'm just showing what it is. I'm just showing what it was. But other than that, I would love Boise State to win the division here. If I'm going just pure off of it, that's my take.
Yeah.
Bada bing, bada boom.
I still think Fresno State wins the conference.
I don't know.
I think it will be a repeat matchup of last year's conference championship, Fresno State versus Boise State.
Yes, in the college football playoff, it'll be 2-seeded Fresno State versus 3-seeded Boise.
Yes, absolutely.
Real quick, guys, the Mountain West Conference is not considered a Power 5. We're seeing a lot of shifting, a lot of movement of conferences lately into Power 5s, out of Power 5s, expanding, subtracting, all the sort of things. Do we think that teams such as Boise State, San Diego State, Wyoming, Utah State, Fresno State, who across the board are respectable across sports that isn't just football, could we see that transfer into a Power 5 here in the next 5 years?
I would say the most likely is Boise State, just based on what you said earlier about their record, having the winningest most seasons, and what was it, not making the college football playoff?
Most winningest team did not make the college football playoff, tied with Appalachian State.
Yeah, I could definitely see Boise State making that transition.
I could personally think that I could see Utah State making that move as well. They're very well valued in basketball, especially in the past couple of years of March Madness. Their football team is at least over 500, if not better. I mean, we're going to see teams shifting out of the Pac-12. We're seeing 2 move out of the Big 12 next season in OU and Texas. I just think it's something to keep an eye on and something fun. So yeah, I know that Pac-12 is going to change.
I'm going to advocate for San Diego State as well. I think they got a pretty good market there in terms of financial. But I also think
great baseball team too.
Great baseball team, great basketball team last year. Football team's consistent for the most part. So I think they could have a chance to step up as well.
I just think that's a fun little thing to think about, especially with so much change coming in college football. And that's why I love college sports.
Yep, and get that expanded playoff. Maybe we'll see Boise State make it.
Dude, we need to just have a whole podcast when that thing happens. We just it'll take 3 hours, but that's fine. Anyways, thanks for hopping on for the Mountain West here, guys. Braden, Brent, you got anybody we haven't done in a while? You got anybody you want to thank or anything you want to say before we head off?
Well, since Maddie's currently pointing at herself, maybe I'll thank Maddie this time.
There we go.
Yeah. I guess I'm gonna have to I'm gonna thank Grace, and I also see Chris in the comments here. He made an appearance for a second. He couldn't make it, but he's keeping involved and taking a look.
We're trying to get him back on next week. He's a busy dude. He's a busy dude. I miss him. Anyways, I'm definitely going to thank my parents and family for my constant support and just hopping on here. And for everybody that's joining on the Sports Outlet Show, thanks, guys. We're in week 2 here of 11. A lot of weeks to go here. Make sure you check us out on Twitter. Stay up to date there at outlet_show. Everything's going to be on there for next week's dates as we talk about the MAC, and I'll keep what I know Brent's name's going to be to myself. Anyways, thanks again here from the Sports Outlet Show. My name's Joe Wagner alongside Braden Wilkins and Brent Mountain Best Allegra. We're tuning off here. You guys have a great, safe night, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.